Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is on June 9th, 2024. It's on Sunday and raining. How are you spending Sunday? Have you got a day off today? Or are you obliged to work or study? It depends on your schedule. It hinges on your schedule. It's all up to your schedule. It's up to your schedule. It's dependent on your schedule. I will spend my whole day. I will spend whole day inside because it's raining. I finished gathering all of the necessities yesterday, so I don't have to go out for shopping today. The shopping amounted to 20,000 yen, approximately. The shopping amounted to 20,000 yen, approximately. My shopping approximately amounted to 20,000 yen. My shopping approximately amounted to 20,000 yen. 20,000 yen. The number of visitors to the museum amounted to 100,000 during the peak season. The number of tourists paying a visit to the museum amounted to 100,000 during the peak season. The number of tourists paying a visit to the tourist spot during the peak season amounted to 20,000. The number of tourists paying a visit to the festival is estimated to amount to 2 million. 2 million. The number of visitors to the festival is estimated to amount to 2 million. The number of visitors to the museum is predicted to amount to 2 million during the peak season. The number of visitors to the museum is expected to amount to 20 million in a year. Have you already applied for the job? I'm of two minds whether or not I should apply for the job. I'm in two minds whether I should apply for the occupation. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the occupation. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the profession. Do you know how to apply for the visa? I have no idea how to apply for the visa. Where can I apply for the visa? Where can I apply for the visa? How can I apply for the credit card in Japan? How can I apply for the credit card in Japan? Do you think I will be approved if I apply for the credit card? The criteria for the credit card is said to be very difficult, stringent, strict. So maybe I should apply for another credit card which is easier to be approved. How can I apply for the visa? Where can I apply for the visa? Where can I apply for the credit card? Where can I apply for the passport? I need to get it in a month. How soon can I get the passport? Maybe a week at the shortest. At the earliest. A week at the earliest. And this is the facility where I applied for my passport. Where can I apply for the passport? Where can I apply for the passport? Do I have to go to the prefectural office? Or can I apply for it in another place instead? Where can I apply for credit card? Where can I apply for passport? Where can I apply for passport? Where can I apply for passport? How can I apply for passport? Do you know how to apply for the visa? Where can I apply for the visa? Where can I apply for the visa? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? If I apply for the visa, do you think I will be approved? There are some facilities other than the prefectural office where you can apply for the passport. There are some places where you can apply for the passport. There are some places where you can apply for passport. There are some places where you can apply for the passport. There are some facilities. You can apply for passport. You can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for the passport. There are some facilities where you can apply for passport. I'm not sure how to apply for the visa. I'm not sure how to apply for the visa. I'm not sure how to apply for the credit card. I'm not sure how to apply for passport. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether or not I should apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether to apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether or not I should apply for the job. I'm of two minds whether or not I should apply for the job. Have you already applied to the university? Have you already applied to the university? You can apply to the university by either online or submitting the documents to the university. Have you already applied to the association? Have you applied to the event? I'm of two minds whether to apply to the event. I'm of two minds whether to apply to the event. I'm of two minds whether to apply to the event. Apply to the event. Apply to the event. I'm of two minds whether to apply to the event. I'm of two minds whether I should apply to the event. You should apply to the event. You should apply to the marathon. You should apply to the marathon. You ought to apply to the marathon. You ought to apply to the marathon. You ought to apply to the marathon. You sometimes be bold and go fight. You should apply to the marathon. You ought to apply for the marathon. Ought to apply to the marathon. You 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 ought to apply to the marathon. I applied to the institution yesterday. I applied to the institution yesterday. I applied to the audition 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 yesterday. I applied to the event yesterday. I applied to the occasion yesterday. I applied to the event yesterday. I applied to the university yesterday. I applied to the association yesterday. I applied to the federation yesterday. I applied to the federation yesterday. I applied to the federation yesterday. Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in the existence of 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 aliens? Do you believe in fairies? Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in the existence of aliens? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in myself? Do you believe in me? Do you believe in the advertisement? Directly, literally, literally. Do you believe in the advertisement? Don't believe in the advertisement literally. Don't believe in the advertisement literally. Do not believe in the advertisement literally. Do not believe in the advertisement literally. Did you belong to a club activity when you were a student? Do you belong to a club activity? Do you belong to a club activity? Excuse me, I'd like to talk with the person who belongs to the production department. Excuse me, could you change to the person belonging to the assembly line? Excuse me, could you turn to the person belonging to research and development department? Excuse me, could you transmit to research and development department? Excuse me, could you transfer the line to the department of research and development? Everybody burst into laughter when the teacher told the jokes. My pet dog burst into barks suddenly, all of a sudden. All at once. My pet dog burst into barks all at once. All at once, my pet dog burst into barks. Audiences burst into laughter when the host of the event told many jokes. All of the audience burst into laughter when the host of the event told a joke. The sky burst into dark. The sky burst into dark all of a sudden, all at once. The sky burst into dark all at once. The boss burst into anger. The boss burst into irritation. I burst into irritation. I burst into drowsiness as soon as the class started. The building burst into flames. The building burst into flames. The building burst into flames. The timber burst into flames. The paper 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 burst into flames. The student burst into constellation. The physical education started. When the physical education started, the student burst into constellation. As soon as physical education started, the student burst into motivation. As soon as the examination finished, the student burst into fine health. All of the audiences burst into laughter when the host of the event told a joke. All of the participants in the meeting burst into laughter when the presenter told a joke. When the presenter told the joke, all of the audiences burst into laughter. All of the audiences burst out laughing when the host of the event told a joke. The minute the examination finished, the student burst into good spirits. The moment the examination finished, the student came into good spirits, good mood. The instant the examination finished, the student burst into a good mood. My pet dog burst out running to me as soon as he found me. As soon as I got home, my pet dog burst out running at me, running to me, running towards me. Hardly had I got home when my pet dog burst out running towards me. Scarcely had I got home before my pet dog running to me, burst out running to me, runs towards me. No sooner had I got home than my pet dog ran to me. My pet dog burst into runs towards me as soon as I got home. As soon as I got news from the TV, I burst into worries. 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 I burst into concerns. I burst into concerns. I burst into concerns. Would you mind me calling at the convenience store? Would you mind calling at the convenience store on the way? Not at all. Would you mind if I called at you tonight? Maybe tomorrow. Do you mind my calling at you tonight? I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a word privately with you. Okay. Okay. Would you mind my calling at a convenience store? Would you mind us calling at a convenience store on the way? Would you mind us calling at the supermarket on the way? Do you mind us calling at the supermarket? Would 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 you mind us calling at the supermarket? Do you mind us calling at the supermarket? Do you remember where you called at yesterday? Do you remember where you called at a week ago? No way. Due to limited time, we didn't call at the coastline. By virtue of limited time, we didn't call at the beach in the supposed to visit on the itinerary. In virtue of limited time, we couldn't call at the beach on the schedule. By virtue of limited time, we couldn't call at the beach on schedule. By virtue of limited time, we couldn't call at the beach. Would you mind us calling at a convenience store? Do you mind us calling at the supermarket? May I call at the museum? May I call at the service area? Would you mind us calling at the coming service area on the expressway? Not at all. Do you mind us calling at the next service area? May I call at the next service area? May I call at the next service area? Would you mind us calling at the next service area? Would you mind us calling at the next service area? Would you mind us calling at the following service area? Would you mind us calling at the next service area? Would you mind us calling at the next service area? Would you mind us calling at the coming service area? Would you mind us calling at the coming service area? Would you mind us calling at the coming service area? Would you mind us dropping in at calling at the following service area, coming service area, next service area. Would you mind us calling at the next supermarket? Would you mind us calling at the supermarket? Would you mind us calling at the supermarket? Would you mind us calling at the supermarket? Do you mind us calling at the supermarket? Do you mind us calling at the supermarket? Would you mind if I called at the supermarket? Would you mind if we called at the supermarket? Do you mind if we call at the supermarket? Would you mind if we call at the supermarket? Would you mind if I open the window? Would you mind if I open the window? Would you mind if I call at the next service area? Do you mind if we call at the next service area? Would you mind if we call at the next service area? Do you mind if we call at the next service area? Do you mind if we call at the next service area? Would you mind if we called at the next service area? I'm planning to call at 5 places on this journey today. I'm planning to call at 5 facilities today. I'm planning to call at 5 facilities, including a supermarket, which was newly opened recently. I'm planning to call at 5 places. I'm planning to pay a visit to 5 places. I'm planning to call at 5 places on my way to this destination. I'm planning to call at the convenience store on my way to the destination. I'm planning to stop by, stop at, drop in at a convenience store. I'm intending to call at the convenience store. 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 Call at the supermarket. Call at the museum. Call at the tavern. Call at the tavern. Call at the bar. Call at the bar. Call at the restaurant. 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 Restaurant. Call at the restaurant. Call at the restaurant. Call at the cafe. Call at the cafe. Let's call at the cafe. Let's call at the cafe, shall we? Let's call at the cafe, shall we? For a break. Let's call at the cafe, shall we? Shall we call at the cafe? Shall we call at the cafe? Shall we call at the cafe? What do you say to calling at the cafe? What do you say to calling at the cafe? How about calling at the cafe? How about calling at the cafe? What about calling at the cafe? What about calling at the cafe? Why don't we call at the cafe? Why don't we call at the cafe? How come you didn't call at the cafe? How come you didn't call at the tourist spot? How come you didn't call at the tourist spot? You don't have the interest in that? I'm looking forward to calling at the amusement park. I'm looking forward to calling at the place. I'm looking forward to calling at the souvenir shop. I'm looking forward to calling at the duty-free shop. I'm looking forward to calling at the duty-free shop. Duty-free shop. I'm looking forward to calling at the duty-free shop. Don't forget to call at the duty-free shop. You shouldn't miss it up. You shouldn't pass it up. Call at the souvenir shop. I want you to call at the souvenir shop. I want you to call at the souvenir shop. I want you to call at the fashionable cafe. Call at cafe. Let's call at cafe. Let's call at the cafe for break. Let's call at the toilet. Let's call at the service area with many toilets. Let's call at university. Let's call at the appliance store. Let's go at the appliance store to buy Japanese appliances as souvenirs. Okay? うん。Let's go at the souvenir shop. Let's go at the convenience store. Shall we go at the restaurant? Shall we go at the cafe? Shall we go at the cafe? Shall we go at the next service area? Shall we go at the service area? Shall we go at the next service area? Shall we go at the next service area with a lot of good reputations? Shall we go at the next service area? Shall we go at the next service area? Sure, sure. Shall we go at the next service area? Sure, sure. Let's go at the next service area. Let's go at the next convenience store. Let's go at the 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 convenience store. The victims in the disaster-affected area called for immediate delivery of the relief aid. Relief aid. Relief aid. The non-profit organization called for the immediate cancellation of the event. The non-profit organization called for the immediate cancellation of the event. The mayor of the city called for good manners in the area. The opposition party called for the resignation of the prime minister. The opposition party called for the resignation of the prime minister. The opposition party called for the immediate resignation of the prime minister. The opposition party asked for the immediate resignation of the prime minister. The opposition called for the immediate resignation of the prime minister. The opposition called for the immediate resignation of the prime minister. It's no use calling for his resignation. It's no good calling for his resignation. It's no good calling for his resignation. It's no good calling for his resignation. There's no point in calling for his resignation. called for better condition. The labor union called for better environment in the working place. The labor union called on the employer for better environment in the working place. The labor union called on pay raise for the called on the employer for pay raise. The labor union called on the employer for better condition in the working place, including payment. The labor union called on the employer for rise in monthly pay. The labor union called on its employer for pay raise. The labor union called on its employer for drastic measure in the workplace. The labor union called on its employer for increase in the monthly pay. The labor union called on its employer for better environment in the workplace. The labor union called on its employer for drastic increase in the pay. All of the member countries called on country A for the cessation, for the stop of the illegal actions. All of the member countries called on country A for the immediate stop of the illegal actions. All of member countries called on the country A for the immediate stop of the violation of international law. All of the member countries called upon the country A for the immediate stop of the violation of the international law. International airport. Kansai International Airport. International airport. The criminal with the hostage called on the police officers for as much as 1 billion yen in return for the release of the hostage. The criminal with the hostage called on the police officer for as much as 1 billion yen in return for the release of the hostage. The country A called on country B for the lift of tariff. The country A called upon country B for alleviation in the high tariff. The country A called upon country B for the alleviation of the high tariff. The country A called upon country B for the relief in the high tariff. I would often call on my parents for buying me video games. I would often call upon my parents for buying me video games. I would often call on my parents for buying me a video game. I regret it now. I would often call upon my parents for buying me a lot of video games, as many as possible, as many as they could. Some crazy bosses call upon us for incredible amount of tasks. And some bosses call upon us for exorbitant amount of tasks. And some bosses call on us for insane amount of tasks. The boss called on me for incredible amount of tasks. The boss called upon us for incredible amount of tasks. The boss went so far as to call on us for incredible amount of tasks. The boss went so far as to call upon us for incredible amount of tasks. The boss went so far as to call on us for incredible amount of tasks. The boss went so far as to call upon us for incredible amount of tasks. The buyer of the house called on the carpenters for the acceleration in the construction. The buyer of the house called upon the carpenters for the acceleration of the construction. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. The facility over there is a place where elderly people are cared for. The facility you can see over there is where staff is care for elderly people. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. I wonder who will care for me when I get older. Thank you for caring for my pet while I was away. Thank you for caring for my pet while I was away from home. Thank you for caring for my pet while I was away. Thank you for caring for my pet while I was away. The leaves changed into red. The leaves changed to red. The leaves turned to red. The leaves turned into red. The leaves transformed into red. The leaves transformed to red. Please wait here. Please, you have to wait. We all have to wait until the traffic light change into blue. Until traffic signal change into blue. Until traffic signal change to blue. Until traffic signal turns into blue. Until traffic signal turns to blue. Until traffic signal transforms into blue. Until traffic signal transforms to blue. The former Japanese style inn changed into a guest house. The former inn changed to a guest house. The former Japanese style inn was transformed into guest house. The former Japanese style inn was transformed to a guest house. The former Japanese style inn was turned into a guest house. The former Japanese style inn was transformed into a guest house, turned into guest house, changed into guest house, changed to a guest house. The leaves change into red in autumn. The leaves turn into red in autumn. The leaves transform into red in autumn. The leaves change into red in autumn, in fall. The leaves change into red in autumn, in fall. The leaves change into red in autumn. 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 The leaves change to red in autumn, in fall. The leaves turn into red in autumn. The leaves turn to red in autumn. The leaves transform into red in autumn. The leaves transform to red in autumn. The sky suddenly changed into dark. The sky suddenly changed to dark. The sky suddenly turned into dark. The sky suddenly turned to dark. The sky suddenly transformed into dark. The sky suddenly transformed to dark. And since I didn't want to come across an old friend of mine, I delayed the time to visit the place. I sometimes run into an old friend of mine in the supermarket. I occasionally, on occasion, from time to time, at times, one of these days, come across an old friend of mine. I run into an old friend of mine. Occasionally. Where do you come from? Maybe I come from Saturn because I'm unique. Maybe I come from Saturn. Maybe I'm from Saturn. The wings. Maybe I come from Saturn. Let's pass the entrance. Let's pass the expressway before it gets into traffic jam. Before it comes into traffic jam. Before it goes into traffic jam. In case it came into traffic jam, we passed the expressway during the midnight. In the middle of midnight. In case it came into traffic jam, it got into traffic jam, it went into traffic jam. We passed the expressway, we passed the route in the middle of midnight, although we were sleepy. But we didn't come into traffic jam. We didn't get into traffic jam. We didn't go into traffic jam. Nobody wanna come into traffic accident. Nobody wanna get into traffic accident. Nobody wanna go into traffic accident. 。He suddenly came into anger. He suddenly came into anger. He suddenly got into anger. He suddenly went into anger. Sometimes some people come into irritation immediately. Some people all at once get into angry, get into irritation. Some people all at once goes into irritation. The restaurant comes into congestion every day during lunchtime. The restaurant tends to come into congestion every lunchtime. The restaurant is inclined to get into congestion. The restaurant goes into congestion every day during lunchtime. I soon come into drowsiness after eating lunch, especially the class is boring. I tend to come into drowsiness soon after eating lunch. I tend to get into drowsiness soon after eating lunch. I am inclined to go into drowsiness as soon as I eat lunch. It will come into law tomorrow. The newly enacted rule will come into effect tomorrow. The newly enacted law will come into effect as of tomorrow. Take effective tomorrow. The newly enacted law will come into effect from tomorrow. Will take effective from tomorrow. Saying is easy, but putting it into practice is difficult. Saying is easy. Telling is easy. Saying is easy. But putting them into practice is very difficult. Saying is easy, but putting it into practice is difficult. Yeah. Old gadgets can come into very popularity. Old gadgets can come into popularity. Old gadgets can get into popularity in the future. Old gadgets can go into popularity in the future. Using a smartphone came into normal. Using a smartphone get into normal. Using a smartphone went into normal. Working from a resort area is coming into normal. Working from a resort area is getting into normal. Working from a resort area is going to normal. Please wait until the traffic signal comes into blue. Please wait until the traffic signal gets into blue. Please wait. Be patient until the traffic signal goes into blue. The song came into viral. The song got into viral. The song went into viral. The restaurant comes into congestion every day. The restaurant comes into congestion every day. The restaurant comes into congestion every lunchtime. During every lunchtime. The restaurant comes into congestion. The restaurant comes into congestion. The restaurant comes into congestion. The restaurant gets into congestion. The restaurant gets into congestion. The restaurant goes into congestion every day. The tourist spot comes into panic during peak season. The tourist spot comes into panic every peak season. The tourist spot gets into panic every peak season. The tourist spot goes into panic during peak season. Competing with our rivals can work good when it comes to forcing ourselves to work harder. But it also works inadvantageously. On the other hand, it depends on you. Competing with my classmates in the academic score made me work harder on the study. It worked well for me. Competing with my classmates made me work harder. Competing against my classmates in academic scores on the test made me work harder, compelled me to work harder, obliged me work harder, obliged me to work harder, forced me to work harder. Competing against my classmates forced me to study harder, obliged me to study harder, compelled me to work harder. Competing with my classmates in the scores of the tests forced me to study harder, compelled me to study harder, made me study harder, obliged me to study harder. Competing with my classmates in the score of the tests forced me to study harder, compelled me to study harder, obliged me to study harder. Competing with our rivals has both merits and demerits. Everything has both merits and demerits, though. Competing against my classmates regarding the scores of the tests forced me to study harder, compelled me to study harder, obliged me to study harder. I hate to compete with others. I don't try to compete with others, but I try to compete with myself. I never compete with others. Competing against others is one of the major causes to depress us. Competing and compare with others are one of the major causes leading to depression. Competing against others will help us to improve the skills. Competing with others will help us to develop new technologies. Competing against others will help us to create sophisticated goods. Competing with other countries will help us to create more sophisticated goods, merchandises, products, gadgets, appliances, and so on. Competing against other countries on a global scale will help us to create more sophisticated wares. Competing with my classmates helped me to study harder. Competing against my classmates helped me to study harder. Competing with my classmates in the test scores helped me to study harder. Helped me to study harder. Helped to made me have motivation. Competing against my classmates regarding scores helped me to study harder. Helped me to study harder. Helped to made me motivated. Helped me to get motivated. Competing with my classmates helped me to get motivated. Competing against my classmates in relation to scores, in relation with scores, in connection with scores, with respect to scores, with regard to scores, in regard to scores, in respect to scores, helped me to get motivated, helped me to get motivated, helped me to be motivated. Competing with other countries will help us to develop better, more sophisticated products. Competing against other countries will help us to create more sophisticated merchandises. I'm fed up with competing against others. I'm sick and tired of competing against others. I'm sick and tired of competing with others. I've had enough of competing with others. I've had enough of competing against others. I've had enough of competing against others. I've had enough of competing against others. I have 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 had enough of competing against others. Who are you competing with? Who are you competing against? I'm competing with myself. I'm competing against myself. We will end up competing with ourselves. We will end up competing against ourselves. We will wind up competing with ourselves. We will wind up competing against ourselves. Competing with my classmates regarding scores of tests helped me to study harder. Competing against my classmates regarding the scores of tests helped me to get motivated. Mind your own business. Mind your own business. It's none of your business. Compete with yourself. Compete with yourself. Compete against yourself. A cup of coffee helped me to concentrate on my study. A cup of coffee is helpful to concentrate on study. A cup of coffee is helpful for me to concentrate on study. A cup of coffee is helpful for me to concentrate on study. A cup of coffee helps me to concentrate on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate myself on study. A cup of coffee helps me to concentrate myself on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate me on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate myself on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate myself on study. A cup of coffee helps me to study harder. A cup of coffee helps to focus myself on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate myself on study. A cup of coffee helps to concentrate myself on study. The association consists of 30 members. The university consists of 70% of male students and 30% of women students. The material consists of metal. The material consists of 99% gold. No one can cope with the problems except for me. No one can take the place of me. No one can take the place of me if I am absent from the workplace. No one can be in place of me. The board of directors is discussing how to cope with the problems. The board of directors is discussing how to cope with the problems. I learned how to cope with problems when I went to a foreign country alone. Setting out on a foreign trip. Setting off on a foreign trip. Going on a foreign trip alone is to know how to cope with a problem. All ourselves. All on ourselves. All by ourselves. Have you corresponded with others? Have you corresponded with somebody living in a foreign country? Do you still correspond with your pen pal living in the United States? Do you still correspond with your pen pal living in the United States? Have you corresponded with your friends in other countries? Now that the internet has been prevalent, corresponding with pen pals in the world is very easy. As soon as you send a message, it will arrive at the recipient's phone or email and so on. As soon as you type and enter the button, the messages will have been sent to the receiver. The fingerprints left on the table corresponded to the criminals. The fingerprints left on the table corresponded to the criminals. To my surprise, my flight corresponded to the one by the Prime Minister's. To my surprise, the sum total of my shopping corresponded to 777 yen. I felt something miracle. Please do not set the password your birthday. Please do not set up the password corresponding to your birthday or something easier to be guessed. Please do not set up your password corresponding to your birthday or something easier to be guessed. Okay? Please do not set the password your birthday. Please do not set the password as your birthday or something easier to be guessed. Please do not set the password to your birthday or something easier to be guessed. Okay? My ideas never correspond to others. My tastes never correspond to others. To my surprise, the total sum of my shopping corresponded to 777 yen. I felt something special. Do you still correspond with your pen pal living in the United States? Do you still correspond with your foreign friend living in the United Kingdom? Now that the internet has been prevalent, corresponding with pen pals living in other countries became much easier. Now that the internet has been prevalent on a global scale, corresponding with foreign pen pals is very easier. Have you corresponded with your friends living in other countries? Have you corresponded with your international friends? Have you corresponded with your pen pals? Have you corresponded with your international pen pals? Have you ever corresponded with your international pen pals? Have you corresponded with your international pen pals? Have you corresponded with your international pen pals? Have you corresponded with your international pen pals? How long have you been corresponding with your pen pal? How long have you been corresponding with your pen pal? How long have you been corresponding with your pen pal? How long have you been corresponding with your pen pal? Coffin era dates from 4th to the 7th centuries, as far as I know. The last eruption of Mount Fuji dates from about 300 years ago. The conflict between the two fighters dates back to last year. Dates from last year. Dates back to last year. Dates from last year. Dates back to last year. Dates from last year. Date from last year. Date from last year. Date back to last year. Edo period. Date from about Edo period. Date from early 17th century to the mid 19th century. Edo period. Date from early 17th century to the mid 19th century, as far as I know. The conflict dates back to early 2020s, early 2000s. The conflict between the two countries dates from early 2000s, early 2000s. The conflict between the two countries dates from early 2000s, early 2000s, early 2000s. Me knowing the existence of the examination dates from 2014. Me knowing the existence of the singer dates from 2009. Me knowing the existence of the opera singer dates back to 2009. Before, after he passed away. Jomon era dates from 10,000 BC to 300 BC, as far as I know. The first release of the product dates from early 2010s. Early 2010s, as far as I know. The first release of the product dates from early 2010s. The first release of the product dates back to early 2010s. The first release of the product dates from the early 2010s. The first release of the product dates from early 2010s. The first release of the product dates back to early 2010s. The first release of the product dates from 2010s. 2010s. The first release of the product dates back to early 2020s. The first release of the product dates back to early 2010s. The first release of the product dates from early 2010s, early 2010s, early 2010s, early 2010s. It dates from last week. It dates back to last week. It dates back to last week. It dates from last week. It dates back from it dates back to last week. It dates back to last week. It dates from last week. It dates back to last week. It dates from 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 last week. It dates back to last week. It dates from 2010. It dates from 2010. It dates back to 2010. It dates from 2010. It dates back to 2010. It dates from end of 900s. 1900s. It dates back to end of 1990s. 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 It dates back to early 1990s. It dates from end of 1990s. 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 It dates from end of 1990s. 1990s. It dates from end of 1990s. It dates from end of 1990s. It dates from end of 1990s. The construction dates from last year. The construction dates back to last year. The first release of the product dates from 2010s, early 2010s. The first release of the product dates back to 2005. The first release of the product dates from 2005. The first release of the product dates from 2005. The first release of the product dates from 2005. The first release of the product dates from 2005. The first release of the product dates from 2005. The first release of the product dates back to 2005. Excuse me, the list was there in semiconductor. Excuse me, is there a shop dealing in semiconductor? Excuse me, is there a shop around here dealing in appliance? Excuse me, is there a shop dealing in JBL speakers? Excuse me, is there an appliance store dealing in high-end audio visual merchandises around here? Excuse me, is there a shop dealing in delicatessen? Excuse me, does the delicatessen in the supermarket deal in pizza? Does this store deal in eye drop? Does this store deal in eye drop? Excuse me, I'd like to know if this shop deals in something to eradicate cockroaches in my house. Excuse me, does this store deal in a tool to eradicate cockroaches in my house? Does this store deal in semiconductor? Does this store deal in eye drop? Does this store deal in sashimi? Does this restaurant deal in sashimi? Does this restaurant deal in tempura? The shopping mall deals in almost everything. 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 The shopping mall almost deals in everything. The shopping mall almost deals in everything. The shopping mall almost deals in everything. The shopping mall deals in everything. The shopping mall almost deals in everything. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. To my surprise, the shop still deals in cassette player. To my surprise, the rental service shop still deals in VHS videos. To my surprise, the store still deals in VHS. To my surprise, the store still deals in VHS. Excuse me, do you know a place dealing in VHS? Do you know if there is a store dealing in 8mm videos? Because I am in need of it. Because I am in want of it. To digitalize the data before it comes into out of service, out of order. Does this store deal in food? Does this store deal in food? Does this store deal in 100 yen shop? Does this store deal in food? Does this store deal in food? Does this store deal in food and drinks? Does this store deal in energy drink? Does this store deal in food and drinks? Does this store deal in Japanese food? 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 Does this store deal in Japanese store? Does this store deal in Japanese sushi? Does this store deal in Japanese products? Does this store deal in computer with Core Ultra CPU? Does this store deal in laptop computers with Core Ultra CPU? Does this store deal in laptop computers with Core Ultra CPU? AIPC. Does this store deal in AIPC? Does this store deal in AIPC? Artificial Intelligence PC. Artificial Intelligence PC. Artificial Intelligence PC. The appliance store doesn't deal in VHS anymore. The appliance store doesn't deal in VHS any longer. The appliance store no longer deal in VHS. The appliance store no more deal in VHS. The appliance store no more deal in VHS. The appliance store no longer deal in VHS. The distiller deal in appliance. The distiller deal in eye drop. The distiller deal in pesticider. The distiller deal in flowers. The distiller deal in vegetation. The distiller deal in amenities. The distiller deal in shampoo and rinse, conditioner, treatment, and so on. The distiller deal in cosmetics. The distiller deal in cosmetics. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. The shops deals in almost everything. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. The shopping mall deals in almost everything. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you!